Not only that, Black Americans are aware that their Black American culture has been exported all over the world and is aware that the whole world has their eyes on them. And again, if you're in a country and you're aware that the whole world has their eyes on you, but you aren't aware of any of them, you're going to believe subconsciously or consciously that it's because you are the best or you are better.
It's very clear that this diaspora war is based on jealousy and envy. She complains about the fact that the eyes of the world is on Black Americans in terms of what is cool and what is relevant. Now here's the flip side. As a result of all that attention, Black Americans also are the recipients of a lot of negative commentary coming from the diaspora. Here's an example of what I mean.
Culture. I want to know, what is the Black American culture? I keep hearing this culture. Bro, the Black Americans are the culture, maybe baby mama culture. Baby single women having 3 kids. That's probably their culture. Or the numbers of the highest incarcerated Black young men in America. That's their culture. I don't know. Is it the pim culture? The gang banging culture? Is that the culture? Bro, they're Black.
They simply feel that we've been the focus of attention for much too long, and it's time for a changing of the guard. You can tell that the attacks that they levy against us are not well thought out. Many of these disparaging and disrespectful comments can clearly be attributed to themselves and their own communities and countries. The mere fact that we don't see ratchet behavior and criminality in their communities and countries is basically because the world is not looking at them. They're looking at us. So since you want that kind of attention, I will give you guys that kind of attention. I'm not sure you're going to like it. Let's talk about the accusation that we're the most incarcerated. So when you compare our arrest percentages to Black British arrest percentages, they are virtually the same. Black people in both countries are 2 times more likely to be arrested than white people. Here's more. Check this out. In the year ending March 2023, Black people in England and Wales were 2.2 times more likely to be arrested than white people, with an arrest rate of 20.4 per 1,000 people compared to 9.4 per 1,000 for white people. This is disproportionately is consistently observed in the criminal justice system, with Black individuals facing higher rates across various stages of policing and sentencing. Through recent census data shows a slight reduction in these disparity rates compared to early calculations. So these are similar things that are going on when we talk about how we're overrepresented. It's the same thing. Now here's the American statistics. While the exact per 1,000 figure can vary by year and source, a 2020 Prison Policy Initiative report found that arrest rates for Black Americans was 4,223 per 100,000, which equates to approximately 42 arrests per 1,000 Black people. This is significantly higher than the rate for white Americans, which are 2,092 per 100,000, or about 21 arrests per 1,000. So again, this is a 2-to-1 ratio, very similar ratio. So to cast us as overly criminal or heavily incarcerated doesn't speak to what's going on in England. So let's talk about gang culture in England or London, as well as other forms of criminality.
The full extent of the crimes committed by a group of people who we call the Rolex Rippers, who have stolen now almost £4 million worth of luxury watches from the streets of London. Now, it's impossible not to state the obvious when we look at these images of the perpetrators. Most of them are young Black men, and it brings me absolutely no pleasure at all to state that fact. We've got to ask the question, why does it appear that so many young Black Brits are drawn to lives of crime? I am sick and tired of seeing images strewn across the press of young black men who are either victims of awful knife crimes, perhaps they've been murdered, or they've committed crimes themselves. I think it's absolutely awful, and I want an end to it. I've been mugged several times in my life. Each and every time I've been mugged by fellow young black men. I've also spoken to many other people about muggings that they have experienced, and 9 times out of 10, they have been mugged by young black men too. Now, we know from statistics that over 50% of gun crimes, robberies, and other serious crimes have been accused against young black men. But we do also know that actually when a lot of these cases go to court, more than double of those cases brought against young black men are thrown out of court over young white men. So perhaps there is some injustice in the system.
This is a normal day in London. There are more than 190 different gangs engaged in running battles across the city's poorer areas. Children grow up in an environment of gangland rap culture that glamorises violence and drugs, and regards those who go to school or work with contempt. In certain areas in South London last year, several teenagers died, victims of gang terror. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time can have fatal consequences. Last year, 27 youngsters became casualties in this bloody struggle. Almost all of them were black, as were their killers. Their families cannot understand why their children had to die. They feel abandoned by the government.
My son, my son. How can I take him? We hope the authority will do more to eradicate the gang, the knife culture among our kids.
Faced with this daily threat, parents are forced to keep a somewhat paranoid eye on their kids.
Now I don't even want to let my son out because I'm so scared that, you know, that anything's going to happen to him. All week he's been with us. I ain't let him out at all. All his friends, they're not allowed out because, you know, the gangs and stuff. To me, it's just got like America, and America is violent, so it's happening here.
According to a United Nations report, now Britain has actually become the most violent industrial nation. The chances of being assaulted or mugged here are almost higher than in the US. London more dangerous than New York. Recently, the British Home Secretary Jackie Smith visited former gang leaders, but even she acknowledged that she is too scared to travel in some areas after dark. Although the crime rate has gone down in Britain, criminals are becoming ever younger.
Did you guys actually hear what that woman said? That they're becoming more like America. Don't blame us. Take some responsibility and some accountability for the demons you guys are raising over there. The idea that London is more unsafe and more dangerous than New York City, man, that says it all. Africans should be the last people on the planet talking about how bad Black Americans are. Let me show you just a small example of the criminality that's going on over there in Nigeria and in South Africa. But before I do that, look at what this young Nigerian woman has to say about her own country.
We need to give Nigeria back to the white man. I think, like, instead of this whole, like, creating new political parties, instead of doing all of that, like, just take a good look at the economy, especially compared to how it was whenever we were colonized, and just hand it over to the white man. And I don't even think that, like, there needs to be any, like, struggle. I think that we, as the next generation, should just look around and be like, this is not working. It's not. And second of all, the fact that, like, we even still call the country Nigeria. Literally, the word Nigeria was made up by some white man, and we still call ourselves Nigerian. The fact that English is still widely spoken, and not even that, the fact that English is our national language, the official language of Nigeria, is insane. You guys fought for independence for what? For what? Like, and you're still, I don't know, it's honestly kind of embarrassing at this point. Give the country back to the white man, please.
Just think about how bad it must be for you to say, give my country back to the white man. That's deep. The idea that these Nigerians are pumping their chest like they come from this great country, meanwhile, is in turmoil. Let's just take a little peek at what's going on over there.
Nigeria faces one of the highest rates of drug misuse in Africa, with experts warning that illicit drugs have become a serious public health concern in the country. The nation's surge in drug use is especially blighting its young people. A 2018 UN survey found that 1 in 7 adult Nigerians had used drugs in the past year, well above the global average. Among the substances fueling the crisis is a cheap and dangerous drug known as Colorado or Kolos, which is rapidly gaining popularity among young people. DW's Funny Fashar reports from Lagos.
Getting high is quite easy in this neighborhood in Lagos. Drugs are sold on almost every street corner here, especially in places popular with young people. We are filming with a hidden camera how dealers offer various illegal drugs.
What is it?
Loud is a relatively expensive strain of marijuana. This small bag here goes for 25,000 naira or 15 euros. Also for sale, Kolos, a synthetic drug that mimics the effects of marijuana. It's sold in smaller sizes and is much cheaper.
So, how much is one bag? 1,000.
That's 50 cents.
Why is this different than marijuana? It's stronger. It's stronger.
What he cannot tell our team what exactly it's made of. Kolos is a drug cocktail that's laced with chemicals, and the makeup varies with every batch. The consequences unpredictable.
You often see signs like this one right here, warning about the use or sale of illegal drugs. But these signs actually point to a much bigger problem, that about 14 million Nigerians struggle with drug addiction, and with those under 25 particularly at risk.
14 million people. That's the government's estimate. Many experts think the true number is much higher.
Doing this business to survive.
While Sadiq sells drugs to survive, Ali is in it for the thrill of it.
I use drugs a lot. I have many lieutenants spread all over, and I don't like snitches. Whoever snitches on my crew, that person will surely get stitches.
Always high on drugs and armed, Ali and his men have become a constant threat to the community. A dispute between two drug gangs is putting the entire community under siege. For Sadiq and his crew, violence is not new. And for Ali and his gang, they are ready for war.
Now, despite the ongoing peace efforts in Katsina and other states, these armed groups, which are known locally as bandits, continue to raid villages, kidnap residents for ransom and also extort poor farming communities. The last week, more than 100 suspected bandits have been killed in coordinated military operation, and the assault took place in the Zamfara state, where the Nigerian fighter jets and ground forces targeted a camp in the Makkakari forest. Now, more than 400 gang members were believed to be present in the camp, and Nigeria's banditry crisis originated in a conflict over land and water rights between herders and farmers. And later, it has morphed into organized crime, with weak security and limited government presence in rural areas. Now, these gangs, in fact, exploit every gap, and communities remain caught in the crossfire.
So apartheid lasted for over 40 years in South Africa. And during all of that period, just over 27,000 people were murdered. Over 40 years of apartheid, 27,000 people were murdered. And most of those happened between 1990 and 1994. So this was not just the white minority government that was killing black people. This was also internal battles between the ANC, the IFP, tribal wars. Over 40 years, 27,000 people. Bekitele has just revealed that in the past 10 years, in this free, democratic South Africa, over 200,000 people were murdered. In this peaceful, free, democratic South Africa, over 200,000 people were murdered. This actually means that in this peaceful South Africa, more people die than in war-torn countries. I mean, at this level, you compare us with Rwanda, where there was a genocide in 1994, where I think close to 1 million people were killed. That was war. People were being shot at, people were being stabbed. I mean, it was war. There's peace here. You can compare us with Syria, where there's still war right now. You can compare us with Ukraine. I mean, this is terrible. This is not a praise of apartheid. You know, through all of my videos, I don't praise apartheid. This is not a comparison either. I'm telling you this to remind you that we are doomed under the ANC government. Very soon, it's going to be very dangerous to live in this country than anywhere else in the world. It's going to be safer to live in a war-torn country than to live in South Africa. If we do not remove the ANC while we still at least have a country, we are not going to have any country at all very soon.
So we're currently driving around Manenberg. I've just met up with Uncle Andy, Pastor Andy. Can you just tell us a little bit about the area that we're in?
So we are in Manenberg, right at the absolute heart of the Cape Flats. Probably the most dangerous place in South Africa. In fact, not probably, definitely the most dangerous place in South Africa. Up until about 5 years ago, it was called the murder capital of the world. There was more murders here per capita than any 1 square mile in the world. Statistically, at that point in time, it was 17 murders a day.
During apartheid, non-white South Africans were forced out of their areas and homes and relocated to places like the Cape Flats. The conditions in many of these areas are close to unlivable, which caused severe unemployment, poverty, and gangsterism.
And can you just tell me a little bit about the guys that we're going to be visiting now?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to go and meet with Preston and Leroy and Nana, a whole bunch of the Americans. These guys were literally...
For those that don't know, the Americans is one of the bigger gangs here in the Cape Flats.
They're good guys, they're dangerous guys on the wrong day. You don't want to get things wrong. Fundamentally, good people, good hearts, born into a place with complete lack of hope and complete lack of opportunity. I think since, a little while ago where they said they wanted to kill you, they've probably calmed down from that, so you should be safe today.
Cool.
I'm kidding.
Let's go.
There's over 100 gangs in the Cape Flats, and today we're going to be talking to one of the biggest and most powerful, the Americans gang. After speaking to some of their senior leaders, a few of them agreed to an interview.
What's up, man? So can you just tell me your name and a little bit about yourself?
Tim Crow, 28 Gangster. American Gangster outside. That's me.
So you're part of the 28th gang in prison.
In prison.
But outside here, you're an American gang.
Yeah.
And can you tell me just what is it like being a gangster in a place like Manenberg?
Yo, you lekker. Me, like robbing you right now with all the spoken stuff. You hear what? It's lekker, my brother. I'm going to smoke lots of stuff with all this stuff. You luckily you with Lee, captain of American gang. You luckily you with him. Otherwise it's big shit. Me and my brothers take all your fucking stuff and smoke it out.
So you're saying if I wasn't with Lee, who's one of the leaders of the Americans gang, you would rob me of my cameras?
Long time ago, Rob. Long time.
And you would go sell it for drugs?
Drugs, yeah. We smoke drugs every day and night.
So in your experience, when you compare the two, having lived so many years, what comes to mind when you see how black people, how poor people are living and how they were living then? Is there a difference?
Well, to be honest with you, there are big differences. The apartheid was cruel politically because they didn't give us a franchise to vote. But at least we credit them for having provided jobs, for instance, for making sure that there was discipline in schools. Teachers were teaching. Thirdly, The old system, if you compare a RDP house and a four-roomed house, you can't compare because those four-roomed houses were quality. But what we thought in 1994, that we were going to build better things, even in the campaign of the manifesto of the ANC. Madiba says we'll never live in the matchboxes houses. We thought we'd build a better one. But to our embarrassment, we built worse things.
So
given Africa has all these resources, they should be the model for Black people. And the idea that this guy would suggest maybe it was better for Black people under apartheid, that speaks volumes, man. What does that really say about Africa? It is without question that Black Americans have to take accountability for the foul-ish we do. However, we have a history of resilience and a level of achievement that is unmatched by any other Black group in the diaspora. As a result of our ancestors' pain and sacrifice, every group of color has the opportunity to succeed in this country. We have a history of building towns and businesses that flourish without the help of white people. Unfortunately for us, those towns and businesses were destroyed. Unlike African countries, they have failed to build vibrant communities unless they receive assistance from the Europeans or the Chinese government. This is why it's so puzzling to hear Africans come over here and boast about how great Africa is. Unlike Africans, you will never hear Black Americans say we were better off during slavery, sharecropping, or Jim Crow. Yet many Africans are ready to throw in the towel. We don't speak like that because we believe we can build successful communities if only white people would just leave us alone. Many Africans come to this country not understanding our history. Many of them are not even curious. They are quick to conclude that the conditions of Black America is a creation of our own doing. I would implore you Africans to go back home and improve the conditions of your own country and communities. As I said before, you should be the model for us all. Rather than invest in your countries, you guys choose to leave them and let Africa become a wasteland. Just as the Chinese are taking over the Caribbean, Africa too will soon fall as well. You Africans should be ashamed. If you haven't already, thumb up the video, subscribe, share this information. It's so important. Until the next time, peace.
There was once a place built just for us. Not just a picnic area or a church retreat, but a full amusement park, roller coasters, a skating rink, hot air balloon rides, and a swimming pool so wide it shimmered like a mirror. And you couldn't be turned away here, because this land, it was Black-owned. In 1945, during the height of Jim Crow segregation, a group of Black churches in western Pennsylvania came together and bought 100 acres of land in Salem Township. They named it Fairview Park, and they built something we weren't supposed to have, a safe place to laugh, to swim, to ride, to live, because back then, if you were Black, you couldn't just walk into any amusement park. Public pools would shut down before they let you in, and even a family picnic could get you run off. But at Fairview, you were family. Church buses pulled in from across the state, people dressed in their Sunday best, and the air smelled like barbecue and sweet victory. It was the first and only Black-owned amusement park in the state, and it's one of the few that still exists today. The land is still Black-owned, and every year people still gather on it to celebrate what it meant to be free. Fairview Park wasn't just about rides. It was about reclaiming joy and building something they couldn't take. Let them know this history still lives. Comment if this is your first time hearing about Fairview Park.